Hi everybody, it's Christy and it is Friday morning and it's time for our test gardens for the planted members. And it is a rainy day here in Northern California. And so I apologize for going a little bit later here. Literally right when I was going out at 10:30, it started pouring. So it actually right now it broke away a little bit. So I'm going to make this a real quick one, but I think it's an important one because I want to talk to you guys about what it means when it rains and what we do in the winter when it rains. So I'm going to talk about that today. And I'm also going to show you a little bit about harvesting because chances are your bok choy and your arugula that you got back in November, that stuff is probably going strong and you need to make sure that you are harvesting it. So I want to walk through and just show you some different plants and what looks like it can be harvested and what should be thinned out for some of the multi-seeded plants, and then also what you should wait on a little bit. I've got a very large array of plants out there because of course we're testing a lot of different things. So I'll show you some different things that we're doing, and all the testing is always for your guys' benefit because we are learning what works and what doesn't and where we can kind of push the envelope and things like that in our container gardening. So before I go out there, because it is sort of raining, I wanted to say that what you want to do in the rain, if you're in Northern California, it's going to be raining off and on for the next few weeks. So here's something to say. First off, the plants love the freshwater rain, so that is a good thing. But now if it is raining a lot and it continues to rain a lot, you probably want to move these pots. Don't move them inside. You don't need to do that, but I would potentially move them under cover so that maybe they're not getting so wet. But they do want to get a little wet. But make sure that you just kind of monitor that, because what can happen is there's always different pathogens that are just kind of laying around on the soil and such. That's totally normal. Remember, living soil has a ton of microbes in it. And so if it's getting too wet, you may see some green mold on the top of the soil. That is okay. Do not worry about it. It's not hard for the plant. Now, of course, if it gets completely moldy, that's a different thing. But what you can do is you can just scrape off that top of the mold or just let it dry out. It's totally fine. Those pathogens are always there. You just don't know. You don't see them because they're microscopic. But when it rains and it's very wet, dewy, that's going to happen. Now, because it's raining and your plants are going to be getting, plenty of water, make sure, doesn't mean you ignore them, okay? For sure, please remember, you still want to check in on them, okay? Because what's interesting, especially if you've got a wall, the way the irrigation system works is that water runs down the back of it. And so, inside. So the rain is not really getting where the roots are. So, real important to also still be checking on the moisture of your soil and see, okay? If you're in the containers and it's on the ground, it probably will get plenty of water if it continues to rain a lot. So those are just some tips for you to know. One thing also that could happen that you need to be careful of, if it's winter and it's really cold at night and it's been raining a lot, you got to watch out a little bit for frost. That might be another reason why you want to bring those containers just closer in to potentially your home, like on the outside, but just kind of so they're protected by the warmth of maybe an overhang. If you put your plants all close together, that also creates a little microclimate for them. So those are just some little tips for you to know. So let's go on outside, and I am going to, we're going to do some harvesting. Let me pop this around so you can see, and I hope that it's not raining. Oh, good. Okay, it's raining a little bit. So we're going to go over here, and I'm going to go over here first, and I'm going to show you just some of the containers that we're kind of playing around with. And here first is I'm growing some radish microgreen seeds. Just one thing to know that actually is so cool about growing the microgreens, they stay fresh for a very long time. So this has been like this for over a week now. You can kind of see I have been cutting around the edges of that. So I just grab a little bit, put them on a sandwich, put them on scrambled eggs, things like that. But they go really strong. When you buy those at a farmer's market, they wilt and they lose that crispness. They kind of get all soggy literally within days. So, yeah. Okay, I will not be deterred. It just dropped off, and I think it's because it's raining so much. Maybe a drain drop disconnected us. I don't know. But I'm going to try again. I'm going to go out to the walls, and we're going to just make this quick because the rain is not cooperating with me right now. But let me pop over here. We're going to walk over to a wall, and thank you guys for being patient with me. This is weather, right? This is nature. Okay, so let me show you. Let's go over here first to this wall. And what I want to show you here is I want to show you different plants. This side of the wall is really everything. Every single thing here can be harvested. And I just want to show you the bok choy. You know, God, bok choy just loves what we do here. So what I want to do is I want to cut it right at the very tip here. Okay, do you see what I'm doing? So I'm just cutting, and I'm using those clippers we gave you. It drops, and I always have a little colander with me to collect things. But so that's kind of how you want to do it. And you can see I have been harvesting this thing a lot. I don't know if you can see all the different cuts, but you usually want to use your clippers, okay? Because you want to do a nice clean cut. This bok choy is ready. Now, one thing to know as well is when you taste these, if that bok choy is getting kind of bitter, you should harvest the whole thing and take it out and replenish it with a new seedling. Because when things start getting bitter, they've been in there too long. This is a Mizuna. You guys, with the planted box, you guys got green Mizuna. And this is what it looks like when it's nice and mature and you can start cutting the leaves. You know, and again, I'm going to go way back here. Can you see here? Sorry about that, you guys. Sorry, my camera is not cooperating. But you just go right down to the very tip of that, and you're going to cut it down there, okay? And we give you Mizunas that are multi-seeded because it's just going to keep pumping out the greenery. You don't have to wait for it to get this big. You can absolutely have them when they're smaller. It's completely a preference thing for you. This one is a great example of a romaine that is starting to bolt, okay? So there's a lot there, but can you see in here? You can kind of see this. There's a stalk. It's growing. The stalk is starting to grow up. And that, it's kind of hard to see. There we go. If I bend back a little bit. That's telling me that this thing is starting to bolt and I need to take that out of the wall. I can still harvest it again. The taste is going to tell me. If I taste it and it's not too bitter, I like it, I'll keep harvesting it a bit. But really that one needs to come out the wall. So next month when it's time to replenish, if I've got planted wall, I'm going to replace this plant. Okay, this kale is a good example. This one, it's got a lot of growth going, and kale lasts a long time in our pots. So usually it can go a number of months. You guys are going to be in planted box. You guys will be getting kale very, very soon. Here's a spinach. You guys got spinach for planted box last month. And this one is you can harvest it. It's ready to go. You can see I've been harvesting different leaves in there. Winter, one reason why we did our smoothie challenge last week was because we wanted to show you guys that, you know, in the winter when things don't grow quite as fast, you can be doing fun things like smoothies and soups and such where you don't need to take as much of the greenery. Okay, here's this side. This side is a newly planted wall. You know, this one, this Mizuna, all this was planted last weekend, so literally about 4 or 5 days ago. This kale was planted a few weeks ago, so it's starting to grow in and be happy. This spinach has been in there a while. Okay, so that kind of shows you. So they grow, so this is kind of, these are small ones. I'm not going to harvest this right now because, for one, the leaves aren't big enough, and it's still growing. It needs to get bigger. It needs to get big like here on the back end. This one, see how this one, there's bigger leaves, there's a lot of leaves. That one I can be harvesting, okay? So hopefully this is giving you guys an idea. This parsley, you know, yeah, for sure, I could be grabbing that. What's really nice about the cilantro we gave you, here's your cilantro that I just planted along with last week and along with all of you guys. And we gave you an extra large cilantro. We did that for a number of reasons. One of the big reasons is we want to be able to allow you to start harvesting as quick as possible, but also things do grow slower in the winter because remember the cooler temperatures. So, but this one I can start taking off different leaves and sprigs and, you know, using those for garnishes. We do tacos a lot. I'm constantly cutting these off and making it for garnish for tacos with the family. So that's how I use that right now. So that's that one. And then here's another wall. I got a lot of walls over here. Let me go around to this side. And this one, here's an example of a leaf lettuce that is bolting. You see that thing? It's growing up. Instead of out, it's growing up. It's got a long stem, so that thing needs to come out of the wall. This one is an example of a butterhead great, I can harvest that thing. There's a lot of leaves going on there. I can harvest it. This arugula, look at that arugula. This thing is happy, and I can be harvesting this, taking off 2 or 3 leaves at a time. Now, here's something to be on the lookout for. If I zoom in, hopefully you guys can see this. If I zoom in there, I don't know if you can see this on the camera there, that is actually a seed pod. So this thing is getting ready to bolt, okay, to go to seed, which is, we don't want it to do because the taste becomes very bitter. So one thing that you do is you keep your eye out when you're looking at arugulas. You're looking for growth like this. And if you look closely, you'll see it's like a little beginning of a little flower, a little seed pod in there. And so what you do is you just pinch those off, because that will stop it. Arugula is really great that way. You can actually prevent the bolting by pinching that off. Okay? All right.